What's up, everybody, and welcome back to TGK TV. It is your host, TGK, and today I am going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks free agency. I am so excited. I can't wait for tomorrow to start. If you don't know, I am a huge Dallas Mavericks fan. I'm a Mavs fan for life, for sure. Been a fan since the early 2000s, and I'm excited about this upcoming season. There's so much potential for the Mavericks to pull off, and all the cool moves that they could do as well. Now, before we get started, if you are a Mavs fan for life like myself, be sure to hit that like button and also subscribe, because I'll be talking about the Mavericks as much as I can. But before we get started on the Dallas Mavericks free agency, options, predictions, or whatnot, I need some water. So I'm going to break down as much as possible so we can all be on the same page and know all of our options that we got coming up this season. So first things first, guys, let's talk about the salary cap for the Dallas Mavericks for the 2019 to the 2020 season. The Dallas Mavericks salary cap is $109 million. $109 million. I was about to say $109, but it is $109 million. Now, there is this thing called the tax level, which I'll explain in a little bit, but that level is $132 million. Anytime you exceed that tax level, any NBA team or here, the Mavericks would have to pay a penalty for it. So for every dollar that you spend exceeding that tax level, you'd probably have to pay $1.50 for every dollar you spend. And then it goes up if you're above that tax level for consecutive amount of years. Thankfully, the Mavericks are not in that situation, but we have plenty of cap space, and let me break it down. So by breaking it down, we need to know our roster. We need to know how much money we have in the current players that are signed to the Dallas Mavericks. The current players that are signed to the Dallas Mavericks are Tim Hardaway, Courtney Lee, Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Ryan Brokoff, Dwight Powell, and Justin Jackson, who we got from the Kings. So because all of the players' value on the cap space is $54.9 million, we want to get to the 109, right? So the amount of space that we basically have is $54 million. So that'll get us to 108.9, around 109. The thing is, there is some things that we can consider as far as how we can move this money around and how we could probably exceed that salary cap with some bird rights. Yes, bird rights. I'm explaining that right now. So the Dallas Mavericks have 3 restricted free agents. Right now we have Maxi Kleber, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Kristaps Porzingis. These 3 players are going to take up some space as well, but the thing is, there's a difference when it comes to one of the players. One of those players being Kristaps Porzingis. Whenever Kristaps Porzingis was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, he was traded along with this thing called bird rights, or the bird right exception, or Larry Bird exception. That's what it's called. I'm sorry. The Larry Bird exception is granted to a player who plays 3 consecutive years without being waived by a team or without changing teams through free agency. However, Kristaps Porzingis was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, so his bird rights are traded with the Mavericks as well. Now, it is said that Kristaps Porzingis is going to wait to sign his contract once all of the dust settles for the Dallas Mavericks, which makes a lot of sense. Now, why would someone wait to sign a contract? Well, here's why. The reason Kristaps Porzingis would wait to sign a contract would be to allow the Dallas Mavericks to be able to utilize all of the cap space they can use to the $109 million, right? So if Kristaps Porzingis doesn't sign, there's technically $54 million worth of salary cap space that we could go play with. Now, however, if Kristaps Porzingis is going to get the max contract, it'll be around $31 million a year. So you have to consider that, because the tax level is 131. So if we get to 109 before we even pay KP, we're going to be at $140 million salary cap. And that'll be roughly $8 million that will be over the tax level. And because we'll be over the tax level of $8 million, that is literally $1.5 per dollar outside of the tax level. Now, Mark Cuban can definitely pay that. Would we get into that situation? I thought the Mavericks want to get above the tax level. So let's play it safe and let's reduce 8 from 140 and then take 8 off of the open salary cap space that we have. So we'll call this the theoretical cap space that the Dallas Mavericks have. And that cap space number would be 46 million. So what I did is I took 8 off of 54, brought us to 46 million. So the Dallas Mavericks have $46 million in cap space available. Now, how we're going to break that down through our restricted free agents and then any possible free agents. Let's get there. So to me, Maxi Kleber and Dorian Finney-Smith, to me, maybe I'm underselling them or maybe I'm overselling them, but I think both of them can garner at least $8 million each per season. And this is just my thought process. I think they're both valued at $8 million. If we could keep them at $8 million a year, that would be great. So that'll be $16 million that come off of our $46 million in cap space. So once we sign Dorian Finney-Smith and Kleber to the $8 million contracts that I'm suggesting, it would take us down to $30 million in cap space. Now there is this one free agent that we love around here, is JJ Barea. Is he gonna re-sign with the Mavericks after the Achilles tear? I would hope we sign him, but I hope we don't overpay him. Hate to say it, but I think a good number for JJ Barea would be around $3 million. And that should get us to roughly $27 million in cap space, right? So that leaves us with $27 million in cap space. We'll have Barea, Kleber, Finney-Smith, and all the players we already have locked up. Now let's talk about free agency. Now we're talking about free agency. I hope, along with you, all of you Mavs fans for life, or any fan or any NBA fan that just came in here to watch this video, if you did, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. I just want y'all to understand that as a Mavericks fan, we know we've never been able to bring a top tier superstar here through free agency. So we need to have realistic expectations. We're not going to get Kemba Walker, especially with only $29 million in cap space. We're not going to go get Horford. He's too old at 33 years old and trying to give him a max deal. No, it's not going to happen. To me, we need to have more realistic expectations or more realistic approaches to this team. I think this team needs several players. I just don't think we need a max player. We got two superstars with Luka and Kristaps Porzingis, and then we have a really good supporting cast. Now we just need to kind of surround them with players that complement this entire team. So to me, the free agents that I want to eye for sure is Patrick Beverley, that is a free agent from the Los Angeles Clippers. I think Patrick Beverley would be an amazing fit. He could play the point guard role, but he obviously is not going to be our point guard. He would just basically guard the point guard of the opposing team for us. But Luka Doncic would be running the offense, right? Patrick Beverley is a 3-and-D guy. His defense is crazy. It's amazing. It bothered Kevin Durant of all people. And I think he brings a lot to this table, his grittiness. Patrick Beverley would be a great addition to the Dallas Mavericks. That is my hope. And I think I think he wants 3 years at $40 million. I think we could give him $13 million a year. I think that's doable. $13 million a year for Patrick Beverley. Give it to him. Sign him up. I am so with that. All right, and the other player I have in mind that would, this is my hope. I mean, I know probably people disagree with me, but I think this player is a potential player we could really get. I think he won't garner as much money as other players will be, or maybe I'm naive in that process, but I'll name off a few other players that I think we could get, should get, but for me, I think I would love to get this player over anybody else. And that is Bojan Bogdanovic. Hopefully I said that right, from the Indiana Pacers. He is a sharpshooter. Great player. I think he would fit in perfectly with Luka and KP and the entire team. If we could get Bojan for $14 million a year, that'll complete the $14 million in cap space that we have left over. I know there's other players. We got players like Julius Randle out there that we could go get. I mean, I think that would be a great addition because we only got Powell, Kleber, and KP as our power forward / centers, and we don't really have any beef down there when it comes to that position. We could use another big time body down there, but Julius Randle is what, like 6'8". There's Brook Lopez, there's Markieff Morris, there's Thaddeus Young out there as well from the Pacers. But to me, if we are going to go for a power forward and it's not Julius Randle, I think Nikola Mirotic will be a great addition to this team. It's just tough, man. It's tough because you're basically going to have a rotation of Powell, KP, Kleber, KP, Powell. Those are going to be your guys. And unless you re-sign Salah Mejri, then it's not going to be that much. How would I say? Salah Mejri is a good player. I just don't know if we're going to re-sign him. And if we are, how much does he play into the cap space? He's probably going to cost about $1 million. Then we would have to trim some money somewhere else, either from JJ Barea or whatever the case may be. But to me, I think we need to try to get more offense. My direction is to get more offense. This league is turning into a very offensive league. Defense can win championships, but let's be honest, the Raptors were very fortunate that KD and Clay went down, because if not, they would have won. And because the Warriors would have had so much offense, they would have won the championship. Defense wouldn't have mattered then. So I don't think defense is a high priority on my list, but that's why we got Patrick Beverley. And that is why I think Bojan would be the perfect fit for us. Perfect fit. You just add you space the floor with so many shooters. You can have a lineup of just straight up shooters everywhere and playmakers. Beverley can hit a three. Luka can hit a three. Tim Hardaway can hit a three. Bojan can hit a three. KP can hit a three. Kleba can hit a three. You can floor space the hell out of all these opposing teams and give Luka and KP the freedom to play that two-man game, and they can dish it out to whomever and bust threes all day. Now, on top of that, there is this looming trade, right? The Rockets want Jimmy Butler so bad from the 76ers, they're willing to break up their core. Their core being, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and Clint Capella. I would love to have Clint Capella on this team. I mean, the dude can rebound. The dude can not hit three-point shots, but he's very good around the rim. I think Clint Capella would be a great addition. KP could just kind of chill as the power forward, but I think I'm underselling what Dwight Powell could do. I think Dwight Powell has abilities as well. We undersell him a lot. Now, who would we trade for Clint Capella and use a trade exception? A trade exception allows you to go over the cap space as well, but I'm pretty sure we'd get at the tax level at this point with adding Clint Capella and his, I think, $18 million a year. But that would give the Rockets the cap space that they need. It's highly unlikely that we get either one of those players. I would love to get PJ Tucker on this team, but there is a possibility that can happen. Now, I don't see it happening. I think the Rockets will come to their senses and not make that trade for Jimmy Butler, because right now they're in the thick of it with the core that they have. They don't need to trade all their players just to get Jimmy Butler. It's not going to make them any better. I guarantee you that. It will not. It'll make them worse. That is the wrong deal to make. Now, here is where this gets interesting, right? If we get Patrick Beverley and Bojan, gets us to $101 million of salary cap that has been used. This is where then we can sign KP to that max contract. Once everybody else is signed, we can then go sign KP to the max contract. I think he could get upwards of $31 million a year, so that 101 will turn into 131. The reason we're allowed to go over the salary cap is because of those bird rights. Like I said in the beginning, it allows us to exceed the salary cap with Kristaps Porzingis, which would bring us to $131 million salary cap for the 2019-2020 season. And this will be a very solid team that'll definitely make the playoffs. We're probably looking at 50 wins, especially with Rick Carlisle's coaching ability, and he gets the most out of players. And just imagine what a Luka and KP duo can pull off. That is my hopes. I know a lot of people want Julius Randle. I know a lot of people want Nikola Mirotic. I just don't think we can afford those guys. I don't think we can go get them. And again, maybe I'm wrong thinking we could go get Bojan from Indiana and for $14 million. But that might be a reach, but I think we could do it. Now, I want to hear all of your guesses, predictions, preferences. Let me hear it all. Let me know if you think I'm wrong on any of this stuff. I did my research on all these bird rights, trade exclusions, exceptions, all this stuff. It's crazy. It's a lot of stuff to digest, but I think that'll be the best route for us to go as far as completing our team and giving us a chance to make the playoffs. And when we're in the playoffs, you just never know with a superstar like Luka and KP what could potentially happen, especially in an open NBA. So it's been your boy TGK. I hope you enjoy that. And to all my Dallas Mavericks fans, let's go win this championship. I predicted that we were going to win a championship in 2020. I'm crazy, but I predicted that like 3-4 years ago, and I'm going to stick with it. Dallas Mavericks championship coming up. Let's go get it, man. It's been your boy TGK, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. I'm out.